Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Tornado Talk Monday night. And as you can see, we're not at Dugan's Pub this Monday night. Instead, we're at the Whittick Conference Room on the campus of Brevard College at the Boshamer Gymnasium. And very pleased to have you join us this evening for this edition of Tornado Talk. There's a special event, a Christmas party going on, a private event over at Dugan's Pub. So we will have the show tonight on campus, and it's going to be a basketball-intensive show in terms of guests. We'll hear from head women's basketball coach Donald Hudson, women's basketball student-athletes Shakira Thompson and Victoria Green, men's basketball student-athletes Gaddafi Turner and Cannon Lamb, and head men's basketball coach Lee Burgess. Do want to thank our sponsors, Arby's, Jets Pizza, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingalls, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium, Pepsi, and Dugan's Pub. Want to catch you up for some news updates around Brevard College athletics. First, in men's soccer, Mateos Masukawa named North Carolina Collegiate Sports Information Association, that's the NCCSIA, all-state second team after a record-breaking senior season for the native of Brazil. Masukawa, all sorts of records for Brevard College men's soccer, and rewarded with that second team all-state honor. Also a second-team all-state honor by the NCCSIA for Mariana Rodriguez, the setter for the Brevard College volleyball team. Rodriguez recorded a total of 475 digs this past season, and that earned her that spot on that all-state second team. A new head softball coach has been named at Brevard College. That's Robin Rohr. Robin comes from Rosemont, Minnesota, where she was an assistant coach at Dakota County Technical College and had a very prolific playing career and got started with her coaching career at Dakota County and will make the trip from Minnesota down here to the mountains of western North Carolina, and will get started with her duties on January 6th of 2020. So great to have Coach Rohr on board as the newly minted head softball coach at Brevard College. Now, the football team, you all have heard plenty about them. You know, no doubt, if you're a loyal viewer of Tornado Talk, the ECAC Scotty Whitelaw Bowl champions, an 8-2 overall record, best in school history, record-breaking season by pretty much every metric you could come up with in terms of school records. Clearly the best season in Brevard College football history, and a special moment earlier this past week for the Brevard College Tornadoes, whereby the student athletes were sized for their bowl championship rings. So an exciting buzz around that ring sizing event, and congratulations to all those members of the Tornado football team. And last but not least, a major event's going on this weekend, another national championship opportunity for the Brevard College cycling program. Early tomorrow morning, the cycling team's going to head to the Greenville-Spartanburg Airport in South Carolina, begin a long journey across the country to the state of Washington, Lakewood, Washington to be exact, which is just outside of Tacoma. And the reason the Tornadoes are traveling that far for a cycling event, it's a national championship event. The USA Cycling Cyclocross National Championship. The collegiate portion of that event gets started on Thursday, concludes on Friday. So 2 days of action for the Tornadoes out there. They'll be getting prepared and scoping out the course on Wednesday after the travel day Tuesday, and then action on Thursday and Friday. Want to congratulate in advance the 11 Brevard College student athletes who are making the cross-country trip, along with head coach Brad Purley and assistant coach Cypress Gorey, Carson Beckett, Tyler Clark, Dalton Collins, Ryan Johnson, Tyler Miranda, Tyler Orschel, Hannah Arnsman, Hannah Dixon, Rochelle Pajot, Emma Schwab, and Eliza Tobias. They will all race for the Tornadoes, and the Tornadoes going for their 11th overall team national championship in school history. Just a absolutely decorated program, the Brevard College cycling team, and best of luck to the cyclists as they head out to the Cyclocross National Championships in the state of Washington this week. And just stay tuned to bctornadoes.com and also at BC Tornadoes on Twitter if you really want the daily updates from out there in the Tacoma, Washington area for those USA Cycling Cyclocross National Championships. Men's basketball, since we saw you last, played an exhibition game at NCAA Division I, the Citadel. Also played a tight game at Bob Jones, a rematch of just a buzzer-beating type game earlier in the season. Unfortunately, fell 73-66 to Bob Jones, but then bounced back with a win over Berea this past Saturday, 76-66. We'll be talking to Cannon Lamb, who had a big game, as well as Gaddafi Turner and head coach Lee Burgess to recap that win and look ahead to what's next for Brevard College men's basketball. And that brings us to our first guest of the evening as we shift from men's basketball to women's basketball. And happy to report that the women's basketball team, just like the men's team, coming off a win this past weekend, a 78-58 win over Wesleyan. Great to be joined now by head women's basketball coach Donald Hudson. Coach
Yes,
Hudson, great to have you on the program
Yes, sir.
again.
Thanks for having me. Love being a part of this program.
Thanks, Coach. Well, it was a great day for both the women's and the men's team, for Brevard College athletics all together right here at the Boschberg Gymnasium on Saturday. I don't know if you realize this, Coach, but both teams led or never trailed in the contest to their opponent. So a clean sweep, not only with wins, but you never saw the guest leading at any point.
I didn't pay any attention to that. Nice.
Is a wire-to-wire victory something that coaches look to accomplish?
It definitely feels better. It definitely feels better when you're in the game and you're leading and playing from ahead the entire game, as opposed to trying to dig yourself out of a hole that you may have created for yourself early in the game. And this weekend is just a great atmosphere. Both teams got big wins. Good crowd. I thought both teams played well and got much-needed wins. Now, we had lost our last 4. We definitely needed to get this one. And it was good for the college. It's good to have that winning atmosphere around, and it's good for all sports involved.
Yeah, no doubt, Coach. Well, if we can break down the win a little further, the 78-58 win over Wesleyan, Tornadoes jumped out to a big start in this one.
Yes,
a
sir.
23-9 advantage at the end of one quarter. Was that a mission for you guys to really, from the opening tip, take control of this ball game?
We want to do that every game. We want to make sure that when we attack the floor in the first quarter, that we don't leave our game in the locker room. Like I just talked about, we don't want to play from behind the entire game. And I thought we did a good job of making shots early, defending well, getting out and running and rebounding and building a not comfortable lead, but a nice size lead where we're not just like consistently looking over our shoulder. It was a good Wesleyan team, but I thought we did the things we needed to do early to establish that and play well in that first quarter.
And the three ball was falling early on there. Ended up at the end of the first quarter 3 for 7, but started even hotter than that at the beginning, as far as shots from beyond the arc. I know that was an area that the Tornadoes were struggling with entering this game.
Yes, absolutely. So that's something that we talk about. Coach Hyatt and I, we talk all the time about, do we need to change what we're doing? And we both watch film and we came to the conclusion that no, we just got to make these shots. Like, the offense is generating open looks. It's generating open looks, and eventually they're going to fall. And I think this past game we made 10 threes, and so that's where we, maybe not 10 every game, but we can make around 8 to 11 threes. I think we're going to be in every game, especially at home. We typically shoot it well at home. I'm usually surprised when we come in here and don't shoot it well, but here we usually shoot it. We got to have it travel on the road a little bit more. But that's one of the things that we've been harping on in practice. When we get open looks, they've got to start going in.
Now, this was a game that the bench got significant action as well, and I noticed that your very first substitution was a 5 in, 5 out scenario. It took a second for it all to happen because the shooter was at the free throw line, had to sub out as well. But you kind of did that shift change, for lack of a better word. Was that one of your goals this game as well, to really get that reserve unit some extra time?
It was. Coming into this game, we noticed that Wesleyan was only playing like 6 or 7 people. So we feel like we have depth and we can play 8 to 10 people consistently every night. So why not early on go to try to sub in a few and try to wear on their legs a little bit? And I thought our second group came in and took care of business. The first group got us off to a really good start, and it was Deja at the free throw line that we need to get subbed out. And I think Bree was the last sub to go in for her. And both groups really played well in that first quarter to get us going off to a good start.
Now, you mentioned Deja. led the team once again with 14 points. If you were to look statistically to this point of the season, she's been in many ways the leader, in the statistical categories. Can you talk a little further about her, how she's developed perhaps from last season to this season, also how important she is to this year's success so far?
Absolutely. She's grown tremendously since her freshman year. And she's capable of putting up big numbers at any night. Any time she can go in there and give you a 20-point game, a 17-point game, 22-point game because of how aggressive she is. She's really aggressive at driving the ball to the basket. And if she's knocking down her free throws, because she gets fouled at a good clip right now, if she's knocking down her free throw, it's nothing for her to go in there and get 12 to 15 points. And now she's added the three ball. It's something that she's comfortable doing now. She's making them in practice, and it's kind of translating to the game. And what I told her coming into this year is that she has to add that. People have to respect her from the three line because she's going to beat her individual matchup. The person in front of her, she's going to beat that matchup. Now it's about, can I make the right plays? And now could teams close me out all the way to the three line? Now I have more room and more time to get into those creases and drive the ball like she does.
Well, she made 2 3-pointers in the win over Wesleyan. She also dished out 5 assists, which was a great number as well. Now, do want to also talk about, a couple other members of that front court,
yes,
in
sir.
particular Krista Davis and, Avery Lockwood. Avery with 12 rebounds in the win over Wesleyan, Krista with 11 points and 6 rebounds. The two of those sometimes come in sort of like a Twin Towers type setup as well. But, obviously a big advantage for the Tornadoes to have those two bigs.
Yeah, and we feel like we don't miss a beat with either one of them on the floor. They really, really work really hard in practice because it's just those two. They're the only two bigs that we have. So they're battling every day, battling each other every day. And it's starting to show. They're going so hard against each other in practice that they're making each other better. And what I told them is, the best big you're going to play is right here standing beside you. And I really believe that. I really do believe that we have the two best bigs in the league. And at times, we're definitely going to put them out there together. And when they're out there, we like to play a little high-low and a little side ball screen and take advantage of them in the paint because they're really good finishers, and they both are super unselfish. So if they feel that the double team is coming from somewhere, it's nothing for them to kick it out and get it to the teammate and knock down some open shots. But the biggest thing that they bring when they're out there together is we own the glass. We usually get all of the rebounds when those two are out there together.
And certainly another front court player that we would be remiss to not mention on this show is Destiny Williams. 3 games back after a long layoff with a shoulder surgery in the offseason, and now back in full speed and playing full minutes. Obviously a huge part of the whole formula for Brevard College women's basketball.
Yeah, and if you like good basketball, you'll love watching that kid play. She does not cheat the game. She goes extremely hard every time she's out there. And she's adding an outside shot as well. Similar to what I was telling you about Deja, both of those kids are going to get to the basket off the dribble. Now it's about being able to consistently hit a jumper with my feet set on a kick out, being able to knock those shots down. I'm not saying they got to go out there and take 4 or 5 of them, but I do want to see both of them taking at least 2 or 3 a game and being able to hit at least 1 per game.
Now, the backcourt, I know you've been working some different pieces because of Taisha Washington being out with an injury as well. Hopefully she'll be back, just after the new year. Players like Taryn Ledford, McKindia Martin, Shakira Thompson, who's going to be on the show a little later, Tori Green, who will be on the show as well, all part of that formula. Can you talk about the backcourt and, the things you've liked as far as that group getting it done in Taisha's absence?
Yeah, it's all been done by committee. We're kind of moving different people in and out of different spots to fill that void, and I think everybody's done an admirable job. Could we have made a few more shots at times? Absolutely, but we're competing. And we're getting what we need from that group. Our turnovers right now are around 17. We want to get that down to maybe 15 a game. And I think we're doing a decent job of taking care of the ball. The backcourt is playing well. They're defending. We want to get out and stretch the floor in the full court and apply a little more full court pressure. But I think we're getting what we need from that position. It's hard to replace Taisha with one player, the things that she brings to the game. So we're kind of doing it by committee. We're mixing and matching and playing different people together in the backcourt, and it's getting good results for us.
And Taryn Ledford, part of that group that you mentioned there, and it has beginning the starting nod most nights. I know she's an exceptional story, as far as, her resiliency coming back from a major injury last year. Can you shed a little further light on folks who might not be familiar with Taryn?
Yeah, her being able to get back and play that first game coming off of that injury, that was big. That was big, and it kind of speaks to her character. She put the work in to put herself in that position to be where now she's affecting the team in a positive light every game. And we talk often. She hates to wear a knee brace. She hates to wear that brace. It kind of slows her down a little bit, but I still think she's playing well. She's getting to decent spots on the floor. She's making plays for teammates. She's defending. The only thing that she's missing right now is consistently knocking down that three. And when that comes and when that happens, it's going to be nice for us. That's going to open up so much more for the rest of the team.
Outstanding. Now, we've got two of your student athletes coming on the show just after you, Shakira Thompson and Tori Green. Can you talk a little bit about these two and maybe let our viewers and our listeners know something they may not realize about these two?
Absolutely. Like the stuff that you see from them on the court, they're playing quality basketball, but they're even better people. They're really good people. I know that I can coach them. We've developed a relationship over the last 2 or 3 years that when I say something to them, they know it's coming from a place of love and a place that wants to see them get better. So they accept it. They take it. And just two good quality people. They really represent our program in the right ways. And got Tori out there looking at me. I'm saying great things about you. But, they really represent what I want Brevard College women's basketball to be about.
Outstanding, Coach. Well, before I let you go, folks might not realize that you are not only a men's basketball alum of Brevard College, but you also played football here. And the Brevard College football team, under the direction of head coach Bill Kyatt and just a sensational group of assistant coaches, led the Tornadoes to the best season in school history. Just a remarkable year that they put in the work and they got rewarded for it. 8-2, go on to a bowl game, get the win. You mentioned it earlier as far as, how we're close as an athletic department and how, we feed off of each other's success and that kind of thing. We're rooting for one another. But I think it's particularly interesting from you as a football alum who follows the program so closely to hear what you have to say about this year's Tornadoes team and considering where the football program's been over the years, how big this is for Brevard College as a whole.
Yeah, it speaks to if you consistently do the right things every day, keep your head down and just continue to grind, continue to push, you look up and that's where you end up. You end up in Pittsburgh with a very big victory. And that program has come a long way, Phil. There have been ups, there have been downs. And just to see the resiliency and the fight that they have right now, I know that the coaching staff has instilled that in them. And you can tell that they're going out there and they're playing for each other. And it matters. It matters to them. And hopefully things continue to go this way. I know it's a pretty young team. Let's do it again next year, Let's do it again next year. I'll be right there following them, putting all the things in the group text with my friends and everybody that I played with, and they also keep up with everything. And it's just beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's very big for not just the football program, but for college as a whole.
Yeah, no doubt. I can just tell the energy on campus. Not only the student athletes, but just general students and professors and staff members. Everybody's feeling good about things. And that can apply for any team if they have big success. So I'm sure it raises the bar for everybody.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt. Well, Coach, before I let you go and we turn it over to the players, do want to preview what's ahead. This will be our last Tornado Talk show for the 2019 calendar year.
Okay.
It's going to be a little while till we see the women's basketball team back in action here at the Boshamer Gymnasium with a series of road games before you all return here in the new year. Can you let folks know what's coming up next for women's basketball as you all round out the new year?
Yes, sir. We have 2 more games this semester. We have a good Berea team. This Saturday we'll travel Friday night, go up and look to go get a win on Saturday, and we'll come back Saturday night, and then we have another week until we go to Presbyterian College in Clinton, South Carolina. Exhibition game. That'll be our last one before the break. After that game, the girls are free to go home, get around some family, hit the reset button a little bit. It's kind of been a long season already, so we're going to get away from each other a little bit, come back after Christmas break. We're at Wofford, then Huntington that weekend, and we got to hit the ground running. We got to make up some wins. We've dropped some that I thought we should have won, had a chance to win. Now we got to go get those back in the second semester, and I'm excited to see my group compete in the second semester and go get what we need to do done.
Very good. Well, as you mentioned, Coach, a game at Berea this Saturday, 2 p.m. Fans, keep an eye on www.bctornadoes.com. There'll be a link for you to watch that game via the internet. And good luck as we round out the new year. Thanks, as always, Coach, for coming on the program, and we'll see you down the road.
I appreciate it.
All right, head coach Donald Hudson of that women's basketball team coming off that win this weekend over Wesleyan, 78-58. And Excited to be joined now by two of the aforementioned members of that women's basketball team as they get settled here in our broadcast location at the Whittick Conference Room inside the Boschmer Gymnasium, which is certainly a building that these two are very familiar with. As Tori and Shakira get settled here, well, joined now by Shakira Thompson, a junior guard from Atlanta, Georgia, and Victoria Green, a junior guard from Midlothian, Virginia. Ladies, thanks for joining the program.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Well, we're excited to have you on the program this evening. Tori, if you just bring that microphone right up. There you go. Perfect. And always great to have you two on the program. Shakira, we'll start with you. You know, a big win this weekend.
Yes.
You guys led from the opening tip until the final buzzer, wire-to-wire, lead.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what that win meant for the team?
Well, we were coming off of a 4-game losing streak, and I feel like that win really pushed us in the right direction for the rest of the season. We really needed that win.
And, the fast start, a 23-9 advantage at the end of the first quarter. You guys jumped on them quickly and were able to maintain that lead. Was that something that was an emphasis as far as you guys getting out of it, the gates fast?
Yeah, we felt like if we got a pretty good lead in the beginning, it would hold us through the rest of the game. Like, we would be fired up and ready to go for the next half of the game.
Now, while Shakira was part of the starting lineup, you were part of a group of 5 players who entered the game all at once in the middle of the first quarter. You don't see that often. And then you guys continued to build on that lead and maintain that lead in that first quarter and beyond. Was that a little different for you as far as going in as a group of 5 versus maybe being subbed in all by yourself?
No, I think it actually enhanced what we were doing because we all knew what our roles were as coming in as the 5. So I think it helped us maintain the lead that they had and maintain the energy that they had.
Now, Tori, you hit 2 of 4 3-pointers, which by any measurable is a great percentage, 50%, from beyond the arc. And, the 3 ball was something that you all had been struggling a little bit with going into this game. But, you drain a bunch of them. Shakira, you got one as well. In fact, 7 of the Tornadoes hit a 3 in this game. So that's impressive. But, Tori, if we can start with you, beyond the arc, is there an art to that as far as, getting those 3s to drop?
Honestly, no. It's just focusing. Really, it's basically all focusing, making sure, you're ready to catch and shoot. If you call yourself a shooter, you got to make sure that you're getting in the gym and doing what you're supposed to outside of practice and stuff like that to maintain the 3 that you're supposed to be able to make.
And if you're cold, what do? You just keep on shooting, Shakira?
You keep shooting, but you can also drive towards the basket, try to get. You just need to see the ball go in the hoop, so that pretty much gets you going.
Now, the other stat that pops out on this box score is 18 assists as a team. And I talked to your coach before the game, and he told me the goal was 15. I don't know if he shared that with you all as well. But can you talk about that and that challenge for you all as players to create that ball movement and to get that assist number up?
I think really we just have good chemistry to where we want to help other people score. So when we see opportunities to create a play for another teammate, that's what we're going to do. And, coach is really big on that. So I think that helps motivate us to do the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much what she said. And pretty much if you're ready to shoot and someone drives, pretty much that's a easy kick out to you, and you got to knock it down. That gets your assist up right there.
Now, I want to talk about the part of the game that probably gets talked about the least, which is probably the hardest work, but also can pay off the biggest, which is defense.
Yeah.
And that perimeter defense, which you guys do a lot of, is so important. When the other team has a shooter who might be able to, nail a 3, and you guys have to get out there quick and get your hands up. Can you talk about perimeter defense against the 3-pointer?
You just got to make sure you close out and have a high hand, and you have to make sure that you're not, you're ready to close out. You have to make sure that you're right there in their feet so they don't get that shot off.
Yeah, and pretty much if someone makes the run, you have to be there to cover their man because they're covering yours after you help off of a big drive or something like that.
Now, you often have the benefit of some serious shot blockers and rebounders behind you. You know, especially the two bigs, Krista Davis and Avery Lockwood. Sometimes they're both in the games at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been calling them the Twin Towers, which, if you guys are longtime NBA fans, there used to be some Twin Towers on the Houston Rockets, Hakeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson. I mean, this is going way back. I don't expect you guys to know these guys, but it's an imposing thing. It intimidates the other team when you got two players that much bigger than everybody else on the court at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys feel that much more confident when you're playing defense and you know they're behind you?
Yes, I feel like if the ball gets down low, we know that they can handle the pressure. Like, they're not going to just foul or get scored on. We know they can handle whatever comes their way.
Yeah, I feel like if we get beat off the dribble, like we know that they're gonna have our backs to be there to take our man, and we'll just step over to help take their man for a little bit until we can get back to our players. I think that really helps a lot.
Now, while they get the big rebounding totals, something that doesn't get talked about a lot is, you know, backcourt players getting rebounds as well, and how important that is, especially some of these longer rebounds when the ball bounces a little further from the rim. Can you talk about rebounding as a, you know, guard or a small forward and how hard that is?
I mean, sometimes it can be challenging just because, you know, you're not down there all the time. Like, you're not crashing or you're not, like, right at the basket where the bigs are. But, you know, when we do get those long rebounds, you know, it feels like an accomplishment, I feel like.
Yeah, it does. Like, Bree having 7 rebounds last game, it pretty much, like, gives us a boost. And they kind of make it a competition between the bigs and the guards getting rebounds.
Yeah, you're right. Brianna Ware had 7, and also McKindia Martin had 7 rebounds as well. So, you know, the backcourt getting it done also. So, impressive stuff, and I think that's worth looking at, just that number all season long, you know, what the backcourt does on the glass. Now, we talked about several of your teammates, but do want to mention Destiny Williams, who has been back now for 3 games. You know, I know she was itching to get back.
Yeah.
Can you guys talk about how cool it's been to have her back on the court with you?
It's been very beneficial to us to have her back and have her energy on the court. I think it's motivated all of us to sit there and have that same, like, try to match her energy.
Yeah, she's a big part of rebounding and pushing the pace. Like, if we're down, she'll pick us up, and by getting a steal or just an easy kick out to the on the fast break, and it really gets us going.
Well, would like viewers and listeners to get to know you guys personally and your stories a little more. And Shakira, we'll start with you, junior guard from Atlanta, Georgia, Langston Hughes High School. Let's start with this. When did you start playing basketball competitively? At what age?
I started playing in 7th grade, and, well, kind of really 8th grade, but I took it serious more 8th grade and up. And it really helped me, like, in school with academics and everything, because you have to have a great academic standard and to be able to play.
And was basketball your only sport, or did you play some others as well?
I ran track.
Very good. And then you decide, hey, it'd be great to play college basketball someplace. How'd you find Brevard, or how did Brevard find you?
Well, my dad actually found Brevard. He reached out to coach and sent him some highlights, and that's pretty much it.
Very good. And now that you've been here for a couple years, you know, in your junior year, how do you like it? And if you were talking to a recruit, and I'm sure that, you know, you get the chance to do that every once in a while, what are the kind of things you tell them, you know, why it would be great for her to come here and play women's basketball at Brevard College?
Well, I feel like it's really a sisterhood. Like, in the beginning, we may have, like, a rough start, but once we get the games going, it's like we really come together as one and feed off each other, and we always have each other's back. And it's a good environment. Like, small school, you don't have too much to worry about. Like, you get your work done, go to practice, go to bed, hang out with your friends. It's pretty easy life.
Very good. Now, Victoria Green, junior from Midlothian, Virginia. If we can go back even further, when's the first time you remember shooting a basket towards a hoop?
I was 8 years old, and I was on the three-point line.
Wow.
Yeah.
First shot was a 3?
Yes, I never knew how to do layups until I was probably in 7th or 8th grade.
Wow, at that age to even be able to reach the rim from the three-point line is impressive. So it sounds like you were built to be a basketball player, from a very early age. And then as far as like getting going with, real competitive basketball, whether it's middle school, junior high school, can you kind of tell your story there?
Well, I actually kind of struggled when it came to basketball, like competitively. When I started getting really into basketball was when I started playing AAU. I played AAU when I was in 8th grade, and from there on, I just sprouted and, became the player I am.
And then, same question I had for Shakira. Eventually, you're here at Brevard College. Can you kind of talk about that journey as far as you finding Brevard?
Lord, I don't. I think my dad had emailed coach, and at the time it was a different coach. So, but I got to know Coach Hud when I got here. Coach Hud had kept up with me, and I didn't automatically come to Brevard, but when I got to my other school, I realized that wasn't really where I wanted to be.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here, both of you, of course, and being part of this women's basketball program. Now, it's an interesting time of year. You guys are juggling a lot of responsibilities. It's finals week. You've got holidays and, things of that nature, but you also got to keep in game shape, and you got some games coming up, including a road trip this weekend to Berea, Kentucky. Can you kind of talk about your plan, these next few weeks, and maybe what the coaches told you, how to keep everything organized?
Well, coach is really big on academics, so he wants us to get our academics together first before we even think about basketball. So he pretty much has a practice schedule where it's not too much on us. We can be able to study if we need to and be able to do well in our finals, as well as getting to practice and being able to produce in the game.
Yeah, but he also gives us time to sit here and get in the gym when we need to get in the gym. With having 2 days off this week, I think it's beneficial for us because if we don't have an exam that day, we're able to get in the gym, do what we need to. But also having practice keeps us in shape and running a lot.
Very good. Well, we'll finish off with this then. We talked about academics. Have each of you declared a major, and if so, what do you have in mind, and what would you maybe like to do with it eventually?
Yes, I'm a business major, and I wanted to help my brother out, build his company. He has he cleans up foreclosed homes, and I just want to help him with that business.
And I'm a business major and a criminal justice minor, and I want to become a forensic accountant.
Very good. Well, appreciate you guys sharing that. Interesting, careers you guys have in mind, and I think you're at exactly the right place, to get prepared for that. So appreciate that. Good luck through the rest of finals week. Good luck this weekend at Berea. If I don't get the chance to see you again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, all that kind of stuff. And, because we won't see you in action here at the Bosch until the new year. So, we've been wishing all the women's basketball fans Happy New Year already, because we'll see them again in January. Great job on the program, ladies. Great to have you on, and thanks again for joining the show.
Thank you for having us.
All right, that was Victoria Green and Shakira Thompson, two of those women's basketball players coming off that win over Wesleyan. Great to talk to them, along with head coach Donald Hudson. And we'll shift gears now to talk a little men's basketball with these two guests as they get settled in here in our location at the Whittick Conference Room. We'll be back at Dugan's Pub come the new year. Dugan's Pub actually has a private Christmas party going on at the moment, so we're right here on campus, which is very familiar territory for these two who spend a lot of time in this building, either playing games or working out or preparing for the next one. And happy to be joined now by Gaddafi Turner, senior guard out of Wilmington, North Carolina, and Cannon Lamb, junior forward from Marion. Thanks for joining the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you fitting us in. I know it's a busy week with finals week and everything. Before we get into basketball and what happened this past weekend, how's it going as far as juggling everything? Finals week, holidays coming up, and, of course, basketball.
It's going pretty good. We just had a good note with the win and wrapping everything up. So,
yeah, it's tough now. We got to study for these exams and stuff like that. But everything else is straight. It's been good.
Good to hear. And I know Coach has, adjusted the, practice schedule and such to make sure, you guys are able to accomplish what you need to on the final side. Now, this past weekend was a great day to be a Tornado on Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Definitely was.
Basketball, just a great day altogether. Sweep. Women's basketball wins. You guys win. A much-needed win is how your coach described it, after the game to me. A 76-68 win over Berea. And I'll start with you, kind of both of you guys. A general question, how important was this win and how determined were you guys to get the W on Saturday?
Well, no, the win was very important. We had some streaks of some L's, so we needed to get on the right track, and we definitely did that. Everybody was locked in, and we accomplished the goal. We got the W.
Yeah, we focused on just this is our first conference game and just having a clean slate, 0-0, and just looking from there, and we got the dub.
Well, Cannon, you were a big part of that. 21 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal for good measure. Big scoring night for you. What I observed was a determined Cannon Lamb who was going to, help his team get the win one way or the other. But offensively, that's a big total for you. Were you feeling as far as being able to get the ball through the hoop there?
Yeah, I was feeling pretty good that night. My teammates, I want to thank the teammates for giving me the ball. I wouldn't have the ball if they didn't give it to me and me put it in the hole for them. So, yeah.
Now, Gaddafi, a big part of that formula, is one of these guys who dishes out the assist on regular measure. When you got a guy like Cannon and him in specific, going off like that, how much does that, help you guys?
It helps us a lot. Lambo's a beast down low, so every time he seen me and I see him, he let me know, like, hey, give me the ball, and I'm going to give him the ball because he's going to go down there and work. And 9 out of 10, he's going to get that bucket for us. And I don't care if he throw up anything, it's going in. So, yeah, Lambo's a big help, definitely.
Now, the other player with the last name Lamb, no relation, Levi Lamb, 17 points on Saturday, and obviously a big option, often for the Tornadoes on, both ends. Gaddafi, can you go even further as far as Levi goes as well? And, maybe when you feel like he's got the hot hand, getting the ball to him?
Yeah, Levi, yeah. That's another guy, man. His motor is crazy. When he get going, ain't no stopping him either. So, yeah, if he got it going, we try to find him the ball too because he can put it up, definitely.
Cannon, thoughts on your teammate Levi?
Yeah, he's our leader. He does a great job of that, keeping us together. And when he's rolling, you just give him the ball.
Now, as we're talking about your teammates here, and let's face it, it's easier sometimes to talk about your teammates than talk about yourself in a lot of ways. Jamichael Boone has gotten a lot of folks' attention. It looks like a complete player. He can drain a three. Kind of a tough matchup, for other teams. Can you talk about Jamichael a little bit and kind of what he brings to the table?
Yeah, what he brings to the table, he can shoot that thing long range, so that's what he brings to the table off rip, and his height too. He's a long wing, and he does some good things for us. He grabs boards, he gets assists, so Jamichael's a good guy.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot like Levi.
Yeah,
he could fill in the shoes if he keeps his head to it.
Now back to the game on Saturday. You guys jumped out to just an enormous lead. 23-point advantage at one point, a 17-0 scoring run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a massive scoring run that you don't even see in the NBA too often,
right.
And everything seemed to be working. Can you talk about that as far as, like, what that feels like when everything's clicking?
It's magical. I'm going to tell you that because watching it, everybody was hitting shots. No matter it was going in, it was getting stops too, so that's why it was a great thing, Buckets was going in, we getting stopped, so.
No better feeling than that. When it's just clicking on all cylinders, that's why you play basketball. It's just one of those things.
Well, as impressive as that was, equally impressive was you all holding off Berea from their comeback attempt.
Yeah.
They worked their way all the way back. They tied the game at one point. but you guys dug deep in those final minutes, held them off, and sealed the victory, an 8-point win. For the W. Can you talk about that? How you guys had to dig deep as they're determined to try to pull off this comeback somehow.
We just stick to coach's game plan. He gives us a good game plan of what they're gonna do and how we should act, and we just put that together.
Going off of what Lamb said, Coach LB, he tells us what to do, the scout, and we go off of that. When they started to make their little run, we got to the side, say, hey, look, we're not going to lose this game. I'm tired of losing, so it's that time, and that's what we did. Went to work.
Now, Q, I'm kind of interested how you guys, work as units because, you're one of several guards on the team, and guys who, play either the 1 or the 2 and so forth. Do you work specifically with them as far as like kind of a position group, maybe something like you'd sort of see in football with like, the wide receivers are working? Are there things you work on just with the guards or the point guards?
Ball handling, definitely. Shooting the layups, things we working on with Coach. He splits up the court, bigs on here, guards on here. We do like little work like that, drill work.
And same question for you, Cannon, as far as the front court players, are there, things that you guys work on and focuses that you all have that, these guys don't have to worry about as much?
Yeah, we focus a lot hitting the top of the key 3 and just being on the post, working on post moves and stuff like that. So that difference from what we do from the guards.
Now, the big win over Berea this past weekend, and part of that was this journey to lead up to this point, which included 2 games against NCAA Division I opposition at UNC Asheville up at the Kimmel Arena and against the Citadel down in Charleston. Big settings. Games are on ESPN Plus. The big time feel in all this and tough competition. And you guys in spurts hung with these teams. At certain points of each game. Can you talk about how important those games are for you guys as far as preparing you for the conference schedule coming up?
So, we're not going to see a lot of teams in our league that's going to did the same things that Asheville did or the other team did. So it was a good look for us, so that once we get farther on in the season, we're going to be able to compete better and handle the pressure that some other teams may, stuff like that. But yeah, it was good for us though, real good.
Yeah, those the best teams that we're gonna see this year.
Definitely.
So when we looking back, we in a hard spot. We've already been there before, so we can overlook it the next time we see it.
Yeah, can you really kind of, for lack of a better word, toughen you up, for what you see in the future. And if you can hang with them, you can hang with anybody pretty much.
Anybody.
Would like folks to get to know you all and your stories a little bit. And Cannon, we'll start with you, junior forward from Marion, North Carolina, not too far from here, over in McDowell County, McDowell High School. Before we get into kind of your upbringing and when you started picking up a basketball, while you were over there in Marion at McDowell, how familiar were you with Brevard College?
I knew a little about Brevard. My brother played college basketball, so he was already getting me look at a lot of local colleges around here, so I had a good acknowledgement.
Cool. And then your upbringing, over there in Marion, when did you start playing basketball, and then when did it start getting real serious?
I played all 3 sports growing up, so it just started like from whenever I just picked up a ball last time I can remember, and then in the 10th grade I quit all sports and started focusing on basketball.
And when you say all 3 sports, baseball and football in addition to basketball?
Sir. Yeah.
So, but at that point, you're like, hey, basketball is going to be the way for me.
Yeah.
Very good. And then if we can talk a little bit further, as far as your high school experience, and then eventually, the recruiting process and ending up here at Brevard, how did that all go down?
It was great. High school was great. Came from a very good winning high school, and I was fortunate enough to have LB and KJ contact me. They came to 2 of my games, and they talked to me after, and it was just a great experience.
And now that you're at Brevard, in your junior season, and I had a question like this for the women's players who were on earlier, if you had the chance to talk to a recruit, who's thinking about coming here and playing men's basketball, and I'm sure you've got that opportunity from time to time, what are the kind of things you tell them as far as, hey, this is why it makes sense to come here to Brevard College?
It's just all depends on what you're looking for. It's just experience or learning. It gets you hands on. You'll be ready for your career, and the basketball program, LB knows what he's doing, so it's just a good overall place to be.
Very good. LB head coach Lee Burgess and Gaddafi Turner, senior guard from Wilmington, North Carolina, Ashley High School, a little bit further than Marion. In fact, the whole other side of the state on the coast.
Okay.
Yeah. So all the way over there in Wilmington, how'd you find Brevard, or how did Brevard find you?
Well, at the end of my senior year, about May or June, Coach Johnson he had reached out to me. It was like, hey, you start training basketball? I was like, yes, sir, I am. He was like, okay, why don't you come here to like a visit, to the campus and, shoot some shots up or whatever. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's what I want to do. I came out here, got some shots up. The field was good. Had a good talk with Coach Johnson. And we came in this room. Actually, we're sitting in right now. We talked about, the basketball, the team, and everything else like that. And I was like, you know what? I want to commit. You can see my letter in the mail, and I emailed it right back. I faxed it right back as soon as I can, and that's what happened. So
Very good.
That's why I'm here.
And just like Cannon explained, can you kind of tell folks as far as basketball goes, and when it got real serious for you?
At the end of my senior year, basketball was when I was like, this is what I want to do. Because up until then, I played both basketball and football all the way through high school, and football was what I was going to choose over basketball. And until I got to my senior year, and the very end, I was like, nah, basketball is me. That's what I want to do, and this is why I'm here today.
And meanwhile, now you're in your senior year here at Brevard College. I usually wait for all the sentimental stuff. We'll wait till closer to senior day before we get into that.
Yeah.
But hey, this is big for you and your fellow seniors and the whole team really. But obviously it's extra special for you guys that you go out on a high note. Can you talk about that as far as your experience these 4 years, and then now your senior season making it count?
Yeah. My experiences these 4 years has been great. I'm so thankful for even being here in this position right now. My friends Lee and Hop. We've been together all these years together, and it's the reason why I've come back time and time again, because them guys, those my guys. So really, if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I'd be right now.
That's right. Levi Lamb, Damari Hopper, and the man to my right, Gaddafi Turner, the seniors on the Brevard College team. Well, guys, thanks for joining the program. Great job with this win over the weekend over Berea, 76 to 68. The final score, wire to wire win. You got to love those where you never even trail at any moment. And good luck this week with finals. Good luck with the remainder of the games in the 2019 calendar year. We'll see you on the new year when you're back here at the Boshamer Gymnasium. And happy holidays to you guys. Great job on the program. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you too, sir.
All right, that's Cannon Lamb and Gaddafi Turner, two of those key parts that help Brevard College earn a 76-68 win over Berea on Saturday. Big win for the Tornadoes. Just a electric Saturday at the Boshamer Gymnasium. As happy to be joined now by head men's basketball coach Lee Burgess.
Yeah, Phil, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on over to very familiar ground here.
Absolutely.
Right next to your office.
Right next to my office.
Yeah, to let folks know a little bit behind the curtain here at the Whittick Conference Room. Well, Coach, always fun to talk to you after these wins, 76-68 over Berea. We spoke immediately after the game, but now that there's been another, 48 hours or so to digest it, looking back at the game, maybe reviewing some film, what were the things you were most pleased with?
Again, I think what I told you that I was most pleased with, I still am most pleased with. Our guys have just stuck with it here over the first few weeks of the season. A couple tough losses in there, and I think that's a skill and a talent for them to just continue to kind of trust what we're doing, invest a little bit deeper, and just come out and I mean we got off to a great start. I mean we were ready to play and stuck with it kind of throughout, and the lessons that we had learned kind of through the process of losing some tough games there, I think stood out. We've been talking a lot about offensive efficiency and how that's really hurt us in close games. And so the last 12 minutes of the game against Berea, we had 0 turnovers. So just going back and looking through stats and watching film, stuff like that, we only had three total turnovers in the second half, and all of them were in the first 7.5 minutes.
Wow.
So 12.5 minute on the game in a game that ended up being tight, no turnovers. And that was huge and went a long way to us winning that game, and I think shows the growth and the maturation and the learning that's going on with our guys about how important things like that, how important they can be.
Now, you mentioned the fast start, and I asked your student athletes about this as well. 17-0 scoring run.
Yeah.
That's just a mammoth scoring run on any level of basketball. Can you talk about that a little, from a coach's perspective, what runs signify?
Well, several things. First of all, as a coach, I didn't know, like, in the moment that it's, okay, there's 10-0, okay, 12-0, okay, 14-0, 17-0. I didn't know that. Now, I knew that the scoreboard looked really good. I think it was 27-4 is what it ended up being at the end of that
23-point lead.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I knew the scoreboard looked good. I knew we were playing well. The things that go into that, you got to make shots, and we were making shots early on. I don't remember what. I think we made our first 8 or something like that.
7 for 7 to
Okay,
start. Yep.
So so we started well, made shots, but defensively you got to be playing good defense. You can. You can play bad defense and get a few misses here and there, but to have a 17-0 run, you've got to do it for an extended period of time. And I thought, during that stretch, especially how we opened up, we were very locked in, very energized defensively. Probably got a few breaks with them missing some shots that they maybe don't, but for the most part, we were either turning them over or making them take extremely contested shots. Which was great. So you got to have a combination of the two things. With the way we play, some teams can go on 17-0 runs just strictly by turning you over, and you blink your eye, and 3 minutes later it's 17-0 run, and you've turned it over 7 times, and there it is. That's not really how we're built, how we play. We're not going to turn you over to that extent. So we can get a few turnovers here and there, but for the most part, we're going to get our stops by trying to take strengths away from teams and making them go to third or fourth options, and those third or fourth options go into their non-comfort zone. And I thought we did a really good job of that.
Now, you mentioned protecting the ball down the stretch and how important that was, but I feel like it was even much more than that. I mean, Berea battled their way all the way back, tied the game at one point, but the Tornadoes dug deep, were able to wrestle, back their way back into the lead and end up with a 8-point game, able to seal the victory down the stretch. Can you talk about the formula for making that happen?
Yeah, well, I think looking at it coming down the stretch in the second half, Berea started to get a little bit more downhill with their drives, which is something we talked about early on, keeping them away from. Now, I will say Carter also, he made some tough plays. He made some difficult shots for them. He's a very good player for them. We were able to really limit those in the first half, but, I know they came over I remember in one of the timeouts just coming over and saying, listen, don't freak out about that. He's made some tough ones. Okay, don't abandon what we've talked about now. For you can feel like you got to really get up into him, and now all of a sudden he's going by us and laying him in at the goal with his right hand, which is what he wants to do, and that's his strength. Try to be more energized on him. But if he throws some of those 17-footers in with a hand right in his face, we're going to live with those percentages. Just don't abandon what we're talking about. We really wanted to limit Miller's threes, which I thought we did a really good job of for him. I think he made 1 in the game, I believe. But he was averaging 4 or 5 a game.
Yeah, 1 for 5 from the field, just 1 3-pointer.
Yep. So we wanted to limit those. We did a great job of that. But we started to get fatigued a little bit too, and some miscommunication, and so some of the things defensively that we were a little sharper on in the first half, we weren't quite as sharp on in the second half. And then, I think that contributed to the lead kind of just getting smaller and smaller. Now it's a game at this point now, and we've got to be really focused on being efficient offensively, which I know we've already talked about. We made a couple big shots that just kind of kept a little bit of separation there, that kept us from losing the lead, and again, just kept a little bit of a buffer in there. And then we made foul shots down the stretch. I think 9 of 10 or 9 of 11, something like that, in the second half, I believe, from the line. And foul shooting had been a little bit of a bugaboo for us, too, in those close games. So taking care of the ball was something we talked about, making foul shots down the stretch in tight games, something we talked about needing to do a better job of, and we're able to do that. And then, a couple big shots from the perimeter that really helped just kind of keep a little bit of separation there were big.
Yep, a couple big three-pointers by Damari Hopper and Jermichael Boone. Do want to mention Boone. He's a fascinating player to me, because he seems like he'd be a really tough matchup for the opposition. He sort of has arrived on the scene, without huge fanfare or anything, but boy, is he getting it done.
Yeah, he's a good player. From Alabama. And he has a quiet humility about him, which is awesome. But I think he's got a confidence about him too that is really strong, and you don't see a lot from freshmen. But that combination is unique, and it's important. And I think anytime he gets his feet set and a decent look at the goal, he thinks he's knocking that shot down. And he's done it well in practice, and has done it well so far for us this year. Just being able to make perimeter shots, which is something we struggled with a little bit. He's getting more comfortable defensively. He's getting more comfortable handling the ball and just kind of playing with the pace and physicality at this level that's just different from high school. He's still getting adjusted to that, but he's doing a really good job with it. And he got the start for us in the last game and logged a lot of minutes. And again, getting more comfortable defensively. Had a few moments defensively in the second half where he needed to be a little more physical with who he was guarding and be a little more locked in on what he was doing. He's going to learn from that though. But yes, offensively he brings something to the table for us that we need, and that's a guy that he wants to shoot threes. He's got good size, so if he gets the ball back to the basket, he can be effective down there. But he wants to shoot threes, and he shoots them at a good clip. He had a really poor game not long ago. I think Bob Jones, he would not shoot it well from the arc, and so his percentages are probably a little worse than the kind of shooter that he is. But everybody on our team, I'll tell you, everybody on our team has the confidence that if he's open and we can get him the ball in a good spot, the shot's going up and it's got a really good chance of going in.
Now, Cannon Lamb, who was a guest on the show, just with a monster afternoon, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. One of the best performances in Cannon Lamb's career by all measurables. Can you talk about his day on Saturday?
Yeah, it was great. We needed every bit of it. Cannon is a very talented player, and I think that we've seen glimpses from him where he's come out with that kind of mentality, and he's played really, really well for the whole 40 minutes. And I'm hoping that he can be really, really consistent with that, because when he's like that, he's really hard to deal with. There's not a lot. He has to be guarded by the other team's bigs. They have to guard him that way because he is so effective around the basket. But he's also a very, very capable shooter and handles the ball a lot for us on the perimeter, and that's tough for other teams' bigs to deal with. And so he's a matchup issue just because of his versatility. And when he comes with that mindset like he came with on Saturday, it's I love seeing it. I know we're about to get a great game from him, and that's really, really good for our team. We met and talked about some things before the game, and to Cannon's credit, he implemented them really, really well. And fortunately, as a coach, what I'm glad about as a coach is when somebody does something and implements that right away, that you're talking to them about, hey, I think it's going to be more effective if you try it this way. And then they see that immediate success, it just helps solidify that point where hopefully now it can snowball, and he can keep it moving forward with that, and we can keep getting better.
Well, it all added up to a 76-68 win over Berea. Next up, the Tornadoes will be in action a week from tomorrow at Averett in Danville, Virginia. So a week off, but it's also finals week,
Right.
so a lot of responsibilities for the student athletes that they have to take care of. Can you let folks in behind the curtain a little bit as far as the schedule goes these next 8 days or so?
Yeah, so we're off today. We were off yesterday as well. And so we're going to get back on the practice floor tomorrow. And I told them I think we're going to do – we're going to practice Tuesday, Wednesday. And that's really going to be just focused on us primarily. We're going to try to keep the wind in us, some level of conditioning. Certainly, get shots up and tighten up some things that we need to tighten up on our end, and watch some film and lift weights and do those things Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll be off Thursday. And then we've got 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days of practice prior to a back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday. So we'll take those first 2 days and really kind of, as a coaching staff, see if there's anything odd that we're going to need to deal with when we play Greensboro, which will be our second game of the back-to-back. And just start preparing our guys for that for the first 2 days of that 4-day stretch. And then our guys will know that. And it's not that we're looking ahead, but it's just we've got that turnaround Tuesday, and then we're not going to have any practice time for the game Wednesday. So if there's anything we're going to have to deal with odd, we need to deal with it at the beginning of the week, and I don't want to do it so close to the Avery game. So we'll go Friday, Saturday, looking at some Greensboro stuff about if there's anything that we need to deal with and that is going to be odd for us that we have to kind of really pay attention to. And then Sunday, Monday, we'll turn our entire attention to Averett and work on their scout stuff, be very scout-specific with it, just like we would for a normal game. Go play that game on Tuesday, and then when we start talking about Greensboro Wednesday morning, our guys can hopefully refer back to Friday, Saturday's practice. Like, okay, yeah, we've seen that before, we've guarded that before, we're familiar with that, we know what we're doing, and come at it like that.
And then beyond that, the Christmas break,
Yep.
Christmas, New Year's, back here at the Boschmer Gymnasium. The next home game is not until January 4th versus Methodist here
Yep.
at the Bosch. As far as that plan goes, through the holidays, what does that look like?
So once we get done with Greensboro, we'll bus back here that night, and then our guys will get out Thursday morning. I think that's the 19th. And then we'll be off till we practice the evening of the 26th. So we'll practice the 26th, 27th, and 28th. 28th will probably be a morning practice, and then we'll head down to Atlanta. We've got a classic down in Oglethorpe the 29th and 30th. So we'll head down to Atlanta the 28th and get down there and try and find a restaurant to go eat dinner and watch some football games and just kind of hang out a little bit, and then play our games the 29th and 30th before we head back here and start getting ready for Methodist.
Well, for Tornado fans in the Atlanta area, that sounds like a great little
Yeah.
spot to help ring in the new year with the Tornadoes at that classic hosted by Oglethorpe, and then back here at the Bosch on Saturday, January 4th. Hope to see you there. Coach, congratulations on the win this past weekend, 76-68 over Berea. Thanks for coming on the program. We're going to be
Absolutely.
talking a lot more come the new year back at our regular location at Dugan's, and always a pleasure to have you on the
Sounds
show,
good.
Coach.
Thanks for having me,
Thanks,
Phil.
Coach. All right, that was head coach Lee Burgess recapping that 76-68 win over Berea. Just a remarkable day of Brevard College Tornadoes basketball. Both teams never trailed on Saturday with the wins over Berea and Wesleyan by the men's and women's teams, respectively. Well, that concludes another edition of Tornado Talk. Do want to give one more shout out to Brevard College Cycling, who is en route Tuesday morning to Washington State, Lakewood, Washington, outside of Tacoma for the USA Cycling Cyclocross National Championships. Tornadoes going for their 11th team national championship. A very strong cyclocross program this year for the Tornadoes. Especially cyclists like Tyler Clark and Hannah Arnsman are putting up great totals and are geared up to win this thing. Carson Beckett, Tyler Clark, Dalton Collins, Ryan Johnson, Tyler Miranda, Tyler Orshell, Hannah Rensman, Hannah Dixon, Rochelle Pajot, Emma Schwab, and Eliza Tobias are all racing for the Tornadoes this weekend. So good luck to them. Keep up with @BC Tornadoes for all your updates from the Cyclocross National Championships. Want to thank our guest head women's basketball coach Donald Hudson, women's basketball student athlete Shakira Thompson and Victoria Green, men's basketball student athletes Gaddafi Turner and Cannon Lamb, along with head men's basketball coach Lee Burgess. Want to thank our sponsors, Arby's, Jets Pizza, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium, Pepsi, and Dugan's Pub. This will be the last edition of Tornado Talk for the 2019 calendar year, so want to be perhaps the first to wish you a happy and prosperous new year. We'll see you on Tornado Talk back at Dugan's Pub come the new year on that Monday, January the 6th. There'll be some men's basketball action the weekend of January 4th and 5th here at the Boshamer Gymnasium. Follow the latest news and updates surrounding Brevard College athletics on Twitter and Instagram at BC Tornadoes. Subscribe to Brevard College Tornadoes on YouTube. Follow Brevard College Tornadoes on SoundCloud and like Brevard College Athletics on Facebook. Also check out Flickr and follow Brevard College, all one word, for all the latest photos from all Brevard College events. Want to thank those behind the scenes, Joseph Marvin and Jamarcus Walker, and thank you for continuing to follow Brevard College Tornadoes athletics. A happy and prosperous holiday season for you. We will see you in the new year. Go Tornadoes.